You are listening to Visionaries Wrestling Network, providing your perfect podcast experience.
M is for Mason.
G is for Graham.
B for Betcha.
This is the MGB Wrestling Podcast, the podcast with PG-rated material accessible to wrestling fans of all ages. Hi, my name is Mason, and here's proof that wrestling fans still live with their parents, my co-host, my dad, Graham.
Alright, this is UCW, Episode 1, Wrestlefest from April 13th, 2019. And we're actually recording this the day after, so this is April 14th, a Sunday. It was from the Athletic Center in Annandale, Virginia, and actually it was less than half a mile from the Annandale Volunteer Fire Department, where we've been to see several Nova Pro events. Doors opened at 5, and ring time was 6 p.m. So as this is our first UCW event, UCW Forever, at UCW Forever, is Ultimate Championship Wrestling, and it's Virginia's, according to Twitter, Virginia's premier source in sports entertainment, bringing you the action you want and deserve. And I just realised I'm going to get mocked by anyone who knows me from England now for saying premier instead of premier. I have no idea why I said that. But I guess we should say we took Jackson with us as well for this one.
Yeah.
Now, actually, I should go back a bit more. I should go back about a month. So this is when Nova Pro was announced that they were finishing, they weren't going to do any more shows, they were going on a hiatus. And we actually found this event out from Benjamin Banks. He sent us a link, I think it was March 15th. I think I looked when I bought the tickets. And yeah, we were like, oh, spring break, definitely. Benjamin's within half an hour. Great, couldn't wait. So we bought the tickets, and then we found there was multiple events on this day. Infinite Pro Wrestling, which we said we were actually going to go to. And we were going to see Franco up there, the champion. Unfortunately, it's over 2 hours away, and it's not really suitable for a little kid when you can do something that's only 30 minutes away.
And it's at a better time. It doesn't
correct.
load at 12. Yeah,
it wasn't. Yeah, we didn't get back too late from this with it starting so early, so it was much more suitable, and we didn't want to miss a chance to see Benjamin when he was so close. There was also MCW. There was also the one, I never remember it, the one in West Virginia where Logan
Primal
goes
Conflict.
to. Thank you, Primal Conflict. VCW was on as well. There was like so many choices. There was another one in West Virginia where Jerry the King Lawler was going to appear. I was like, oh man, I'd love to see Jerry the King Lawler. But hey, I was happy to go to this one, but it was like, man, I wish some of the other ones would be on different days. I don't know another event we can go to over spring break, Mason. It was like everything was on the same day. However, I have actually seen Jerry the King Lawler, they announced it today, is going to appear at VCW in, I think it said either August or September. Mm-hmm. So I think that one might be on the cards. I'd like to see the King. That's a big name. That's like Hall of Fame person. That's somebody who I'd really like to meet. And I'm sure his autograph, his picture, whatever is going to be expensive. I want that picture. I want my picture with Jerry the King Lawler. That's how big of a name I actually think Jerry the King Lawler is. Jackson knows who it is. As soon as he sees his crown, he knows who it is. It's just somebody who's so iconic that I think that'd be important. All right, let's get closer to this one then. So we got there probably about 4:45, something like that.
And we started, there was no parking.
No parking at all. We circled around like twice. About on the third lap, there was one car just joined the loop and somebody pulled out. And I was like, oh my gosh, they'd just taken our space. But then the car next to them pulled out and we got in there. And it was actually Scott, who we know from Nova Pro. So you couldn't park on the one next to it because it said, like, if you park here, you're going to get towed. There was nothing to the other side. I don't know what we would have done. This is a sports centre as well. So I think we timed it lucky. It looked like the kids were just leaving from their soccer practice. So we managed to get in there as well.
We walked around and then I saw there were so many out of order vending machines. And then we went down and then we had to go through like a bouncy house area to go to the wrestling. So around the bouncy house area, there was a Red Bull machine. And it was the only one in the whole building that worked.
There was one more as you walked in, actually, that was working as well. But yeah, there was 3 broken vending machines. And you didn't talk about how difficult it was to get there. We walked in, and we weren't even sure where to go.
Exactly.
And then somebody said, oh, you're here for the wrestling? And they're like, oh, it's downstairs. So we went downstairs, and there was a choice, left or right. And I was like, well, it's obviously not in the bouncy area, because that's where all the kids are. So we went the other way. It wasn't the other way.
That was the backstage area.
Yeah, it was. It was the backstage area. So we went back again, and somebody said, oh, no, you got to go through here. But yeah, really difficult. There was no signs or anything. I don't think they've had an event there before, so I don't think there's anyone. I think the problem was nobody was at the front desk. Normally somebody's at the front desk and you can say, hey, can you tell me where the wrestling is? And they could just say, yeah, you go down here, take a left, whatever. So that was a little bit confusing to start with, but we got there. Probably fraction before 5. It was probably about 4:55, so they might not have been ready for us. But, you know the phrase doors open? The doors are automatically open just because that venue, I think, they're always open there. So we kind of walked in. They weren't quite ready to check our tickets, but I got my phone out, and somebody said, did you buy tickets? And I said, yes, and I showed them my phone, and that was it. We went and picked out our seats, and we went to... Basically, we headed over to the guardrail, where the entrance is, because I figured Jackson's going to want to give high fives to the wrestlers as they walk out. You're going to want to do it. We've tried to get those type of seats before at MCW, VCW, and they're really tough to get. Unless you're there within the first few minutes, you're pretty much guaranteed not to get them. I was impressed straight away, first of all, the size of the venue. It was a big area. I wasn't cramped, having been to WrestleMania the previous week where they actually strapped the seats together, and there was no leg room at all. It was terrible. The seats were nicely spread out. Perfect view of the ring. You could see perfectly. You could get super close to the wrestlers as they walked out. I was really impressed with that straight away.
Yeah. And so the kids wanted to just watch it through the door, but the
kids from the bouncy area?
Yeah, but they wouldn't let them, so they purposely kicked the ball through the door to go get the ball with air quotes.
They did. I thought that was hilarious because it was clear that's not what had happened. Because that wasn't even an area where they should have been playing ball anyway. But yeah, I felt bad for trying to get those kids out of the way because they were obviously curious. They'd probably never seen a wrestling ring. I was interested in it. They were a little behind on schedule, I think, because when we get to Nova Pro events and the door opens, before a few minutes you can see like the wrestlers warming up through the glass.
Yeah.
And then by that time they've gone and then we're allowed in. They were still setting the ring up. I thought it was kind of interesting actually. Now, the person who was setting up the ring, we actually know. It was referee Bill Olsen, who we've seen at Nova Pro before. And I was watching him, I was tightening the ropes up and putting the turnbuckles on. The thing that surprised me, first of all, I like the turnbuckles. They have the nice UCW logo on them. There was very little padding on those. I don't think I've ever noticed that before. I think I always assumed that...
He said those were the nice ones.
Yeah. They look nice, but I would have thought as your back went into them, you're not getting much protection. It looked like a really thin piece of... I assume it's like leather or something.
Well, I guess there's just this tiny, tiny bit of metal, so that's all it needs to cover. And then you just bounce off the ropes. And so you technically don't even really need the
I always
turnbuckle.
think of it, though, as soft. Like, when I'm thinking people get like a post in or something and they get thrown into... I always think of it as, it's like cushioning them. It didn't look like it provided that much cushioning, but I thought it was still interesting.
The New Japan turnbuckles look like they have more cushioning.
Now, unfortunately, I was at the G1 Supercard last weekend, but I was I was on the upper level. I wasn't a massive distance away, but I was nowhere near close enough that I could tell what their turnbuckles were like. New Japan was cool, though. That's something I think we might actually get into. Oh. I really liked some of those matches. Okada's match, and I think it was Ibushi. Really got into it. The matches were really good, so I think that's something we might start watching a little bit of as well, possibly. Now, as we got there so early, we were actually supposed to meet. I thought it was Mr. Devore. I don't know why I gave it a French pronunciation. Mr. Devore. And I think it was just Mr. Devore. I think because he came out later.
Yeah.
And we got there, but they were so busy that I was like, I don't want to ask for somebody while they're setting up a ring. And they were still setting up part of that entrance area. They were getting like the music ready. So we just kind of sat there, watched. We asked who he was, so we knew who to look for. And he did come out, but probably around 5:30, and they were still doing things. So I sent a message on by DM and said, hey, look, we're here. I think you were going to get to meet some of the wrestlers, I think. As it was, we got to meet the wrestlers anyway at the intermission, so I think everything worked out fine. As it was still half an hour, and nobody was out selling merch. None of the wrestlers were anyway. They were selling the generic UCW merch.
Yeah.
There wasn't any concessions or anything. We just went for a little walk. We walked out. I took some pictures because the blossoms were out. I walked back to the car because I had a drink there, got a drink. And we actually saw Benjamin.
Yeah.
Because Benjamin was coming in, and he didn't know where to go either, so we kind of directed him a little bit. As we passed him, I was like, oh, I'd have thought Griff would have been with him. Like, I know wrestlers travel together. I assumed his tag team partner would have been with him.
Yeah.
And then I said, have you ever seen Benjamin wrestle by himself?
Yes.
And then you said yes, of course, because?
Because he was in a 7-way match, and Griff was in that same match, so they weren't like a
He was. It was like a battle royal. So you were right. But as it turned out, a little bit late.
Oh, and the Liberty Lottery.
And the Liberty Lottery. Yeah, those battle royale type matches. But you're right. And then when we came back, we actually saw Griff inside, and he was trying to find Benjamin. And Benjamin was downstairs, and he said he'd gone downstairs and Benjamin was upstairs. So they were playing like hard. It was easy to get lost in that place, actually, if you didn't know what you were trying to do.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty funny as well. Also, when we went back to sit down, we heard the music come on. Kurt Angle's music played. Everyone sort of like turns around straight away. You know it's not going to be Kurt Angle there, but sound quality was great.
Yeah.
We've complained before that you can't always hear the music, you can't always hear the announcements. I had no problem. I admit I'm a little bit deaf, but it was great. I thought it made me jump that first time because it came on a little bit loud and I wasn't expecting it. All right, what comments have you got about the music? I know you had something because you told me.
So I got Hulk Hogan right, and
Hulk Hogan was on, yeah?
I got AJ Styles, and I got Samoa Joe, and I got everything.
There was one more I got written down. There was Bobby Roode as well.
Yeah.
Because Jackson was doing a glorious.
Yeah.
And I was trying to film it, and you guys thought I was taking a picture, so you stopped doing what you were doing because you tried to stay still because you thought it was a picture. So I didn't get that. You also noticed, though, it was on a loop. Like, they played the song, and then the next song came on. Oh, that song
was getting annoying.
There was a song before, and I tried Shazam to find out
like...
what it was called. I couldn't find it. To me, it sounded like AC/DC, but I don't really know.
Bottoms Up, I think it is.
I was going to write down the word and then try, like, search for it on iTunes or something.
Exactly.
But you hated it, and then it came on repeat.
Okay, so I liked it, like, the first 2 times, and then they kept playing it over and over again, so it was like...
Oh, it went to a third time?
No, it was the 20th time.
Yeah, it wasn't the 20th time. It can't have been the 20th time. We were there for less than an hour at that point.
Exactly, but it was, like, the 8th time.
I don't think it was as many as the 8th.
Because they put it on loop, and
if it was that song, that could be like 6 minutes long easy. So second time would be 12, and that would be about right. But I agree, it was long, and if you didn't like that song, it was kind of bad. I was kind of weird why they did that with the other people as well. Like, Bobby Roode's song is kind of repetitive, and then once it started again...
and then they played Hulk Hogan's song, and then they played, like, another song, and so they had a match together.
They did, they had it a little bit mixed up there. I like listening to the WWE music, and I'm sure that the casual fan who was there, like the family across from us, they all had, like, the championship belts, and you could tell they were WWE. I'm sure they love that. I love listening to that. We listened to that music in the car.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you don't need to play the same time. I would have been okay if it had been, like, AJ, Bobby, Hogan... back to AJ, Bobby, Hogan. At least there would have been a gap there rather than each one twice.
Like AJ.
Now, there was one last one, actually. Eddie Guerrero's music hits in, and then the ring announcer walks in. Because you're like, Eddie Guerrero.
I was happy because I hate that song.
You don't like that, so they had to turn it down. They had a few problems with the mic to begin with because it wasn't working, and then he said, I don't think this is working, and as soon as he said, I don't think this is working, that's when it started working. So you could hear, I don't think this is working. I thought that was kind of funny as well. They said a few promos. They announced that they had sponsors. They announced what some of the matches were going to be. And they said they were going to start within a few minutes. Because I know Jackson was getting a little impatient at this point. Because we did get there a little earlier than we needed to, perhaps. Yeah. Anything for the start when they did come out?
People, they were filming the event on their phone. Mm-hmm. It was like the people by the ringside. Mm-hmm. Like the actual, like, filming people that, like, film it. For like
the camera people?
Yeah, they film it on their phone.
Mm-hmm. I don't see why not. I would say the technology is perfectly good. I don't think you need... Like I say, we're recording this podcast now on our phone. Yeah. I used to use that microphone, and it's just too much trouble. It's so much easier just to do it on you. The phone works perfectly well. I don't see any reason not to do that now. The technology is there. As long as you got the battery power, I think you're good. I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah.
They did do America the Beautiful. Because you actually asked me, did they sing the national anthem at WrestleMania? And I said, no, they didn't, but they sang America the Beautiful. And I can't remember who sang it at WrestleMania. And I didn't write down the name of the person who sang it here. But she was a good singer. Yeah. They had the Casio keyboard, the guy was playing it, she was singing along to him. Ethan Cross actually cut a promo at this point. He brought out a chair from the back, sat down, and the ring announcer basically went up to him and was like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to sit here until basically... I get a match, or somebody comes and talks to me. So, as far as we could tell, he lost a championship match. It looked like he lost the TV championship match. So, I liked straight away that there were stories. We didn't know the stories straight away, but you could quickly pick up on them because they were filling in gaps for you.
Yeah, I already knew Ethan Cross because I've seen Ethan Cross before. It was John Washington's partner at Old Ox Brewery.
Hoppy Place?
Yeah.
Nova Pro event? Yeah. And I meant to look that up to see, and I forgot to actually check to see that. But you were confident on that, and I don't doubt you, because you're normally pretty good on that. Now, actually, Mr. DeVore, as we now found out he was called, the owner, comes on out, and he gets into the ring, and he's like, come on, like a real man, I want to talk to you in the ring. So Ethan Cross came in there, and basically he wasn't happy with what he had to say, and he knocked him down. Jackson cheered. The owner got knocked down by a wrestler, and Jackson's there going, yay!
And Ethan Cross broke into Mr. DeVore's house.
They did, and I actually got that. That was actually posted on Twitter, and I didn't know to follow UCW that closely before events for things like that. So, at UCW Forever, from Mr. DeVore, Mr. Ethan Cross, you violated the sanctuary of my home, you have my attention, I wouldn't say that's a good thing. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. And they kind of built that story up like 5 days before this event. So that's kind of nice. I kind of like that now. That ahead of time, you can sort of look what stories they're trying to build.
Did he show a picture of his house?
They did not show a picture of his house. No, they didn't do that.
See the broken windows?
Is that what he said?
No.
Oh, okay. I did notice the refs had, and I want to say earbuds. Earpieces, yeah. So I don't know if they actually were real or whether you could actually communicate with them. But I don't think I've seen that at any of the independent ones that we've been to. Or if they have, I haven't really noticed.
No.
Even though we weren't front row, we were second row for this one because it was a little bit cheaper. You could see everything perfectly. I had no problems with sitting second row. I would play second row again. I think it was $10 for general admission, $15 for front row, which is still really cheap.
Yeah.
We actually paid $30 for front seat for our last Nova Pro event. So we actually had 3 general admission seats. 1 ticket at Nova Pro was the same as 3 tickets for this event. Now, the number of matches was different. Probably the quality of the wrestlers was different. Value for money, fantastic. I had no problems with this. I thought it was a great event to go to for that very reason. Match 1 then, if you're ready to start.
So, like, it's Flying V and UCW where you sit second row.
Mm-hmm.
Or Flying V is like last row. It's perfect.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I would never get front row for...
Yeah.
You don't get to give high fives, but besides that...
But you get, like, the ring is elevated, and so, like, you get... It's basically sitting, like, you're on the bleachers, and so you see perfectly. It's right in the island.
You're the right height, and it doesn't matter if somebody tall's in front of you because it's elevated seating. It's like
bleachers.
Stadium seating. Yeah, so you can see over the top of everybody.
Yeah.
All right, match 1 then was Vic Ramon versus... I think his name was Hooker.
Yes.
Now, he's got a weird... It looks like it's capital H, lowercase o, capital K, lowercase e, lowercase r. So I don't know if there's some strange pronunciation I'm just missing. Okay. And he was accompanied by his manager, which was Mr. Salazar, who I've now discovered is actually Mr. Castro Salazar. I managed to find him on Facebook. I got Mr. Salazar was very animated. I thought he was a great heel manager.
He reminded me of Coco Beware.
And I don't know much about Coco. I know the name. I know he's a Hall of Famer. I don't think I've ever seen any of his matches at all. In terms of his look,
yeah,
he was very flamboyant.
Without the bird.
Sure, I would agree with that. He was very colourful. He was very loud. I thought he was a great heel manager. He was talking trash with people around the outside.
Like, it sort of reminds me of John Washington because he's always loud and always yelling at people.
Now, I got a few general things. I'll let you talk about the match. The crowd was actually fairly quiet.
Yeah.
Because with it being a first event in Annandale, people didn't sort of necessarily know all the wrestlers. They were kind of polite and they were clapping when they came out. But besides that, it was kind of... Because normally the first thing is, once the wrestlers get in there, they start walking around and you get the... Exactly. Now, I noticed Scott starts a lot of those at Nova Pro, and he was good. He started it, and I kind of joined in as well. But generally, it was kind of... Not people weren't really buying into that. And I guess if you've not been to that type of atmosphere before, you might not be used to doing that. When you watch on TV, obviously, you don't clap when you're watching on TV, right? You just watch the event. So it might be that people aren't necessarily used to going to wrestling events, and they perhaps weren't used to doing that before.
Hooker catches Vic Ramon when he dives... And then he just throws his head on the floor, throws him on the floor.
Yeah, he was on the top rope, he dived, caught him, and then he just power slammed him. That looked really impressive. So that's straight to the finish then. So that was a pin 1, 2, 3.
And then, Vic does a suicide dive.
Oh,
and he slams him on the floor, and then the manager dude hits him in the head with a cane.
We knew that was coming into play.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone bring a cane, an umbrella, a walking stick, like anything like that, and not use it. They always use it, straight away.
Oh, who's the penguin guy?
Danny DeVito?
No.
Mario Lemieux?
No.
I don't know.
No, the penguin wrestler that comes out with the penguin mask.
Marty Scurll. Yeah.
He doesn't use the umbrella.
Oh, he does.
He does?
Yeah, he does.
Oh.
Now,
one match I saw him, he didn't use.
He was at the G1 as well, and it made me wonder, who got that first? Was it him or was it Jack Gallagher? And it's probably not original to them either. There's probably somebody else that used that as well.
Well, I'm trying to think of something where they don't use it, but I don't... There is lots of, the Tommaso Ciampa crutch.
He always uses that. Yeah. Same to Becky Lynch as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they always use it. That's all I have for that match.
Okay, now I got one thing. As they were leaving, somebody called out to Salazar as he was just about to go through the exit, Hijo de puta. Now, we're a kind of a PG podcast.
Eco D, I don't know what that means.
Do you recognize Eco?
No.
All right, what about Eco de LA Park then? Because we talked about this.
Oh.
There's the wrestler LA Park, and then there's Eco de LA Park.
Mini?
Kind of.
Little?
Son.
Son.
So it would make sense in that sense. So
Oh,
Eco de Puta is
son
of a bee, and I think we'll leave it as we're a PG podcast. We'll leave it at that one. Match 2, of course, for little kids, they would have no idea what that is. So it was kind of like Chikara
Who
going,
yelled that out?
"Holy poop!" I don't know.
One
Somebody
of the
behind.
fans?
I think so.
Oh.
As far as I could tell, it was somebody to my left because I was looking at the wrestler and I could hear it in my left ear. So yeah. I thought that was kind of innovative cry. I've never heard anyone say that at a wrestling match.
Yeah.
Match 2, Ethan Cross versus Tremor. So Ethan Cross actually got his match pretty quickly.
You said Trevor.
I did. I was sure it said Trevor.
I thought I heard Tremor.
You were right.
But then you were like, that's Trevor.
And I was like, oh, that's just like... And I said to Jackson, I was like, just like... well, that's the name of my stepdad and his step-granddad. I was like, oh, Trevor. And I called out a few times, let's go, Trevor. I'm hoping that people misheard. Like I misheard Tremor as Trevor. I'm hoping when I said, let's go Trevor, people thought it was like, oh, he's just saying, let's go Tremor. Oh, I felt so stupid when I heard that.
And then you were yelling it out, and the crowd was silent.
Well, I was trying to get the atmosphere going up to that.
People don't know who Tremor is. He's the one in Captain Crunch, the one that screams a lot, the one that looks like Vader. Like the Vader who has the Vader mask.
Yeah, he's one half of Captain Crunch. He's on Twitter at Demented Brad, and I think they said he's like from a he's got like what did he say? He's like from I didn't they say a mental institution, or he's from a hospital or something. Yeah, they kind of got to be careful, but make that a little bit more PC than what they used to be.
Yeah.
On the card, it's supposed to be his tag team, Joe King, because you asked me ahead of time who was going to be there, and I said, oh, Joe King's advertised. Didn't see Joe King, but we did see Demented Brad, as he's listed on here. And
you gave me a math problem in the middle of the match. It was 3 plus 2 times 2.
I did. I can't remember why I gave it you at that point in time, but
because you gave it to Matt for some reason.
I did.
And you knew Matt hates math.
He does.
And he got it wrong.
Yeah. He did, and I'm sure he's listed now as well. I can't remember why I gave it to you, though, specifically at that time in the match.
You just wanted to see if I'm smarter than that?
And you did say order of operations, so you're right. Yeah, so 3 plus 2 times 2 is 7. And
yeah, because you have to do 2 times 2.
But yeah, so I managed to trick him on that one. But yeah, no, you said it. But you did think 3 plus 2 times 2 was 8, so that was equally funny as well. Now, Ethan Cross, if you want to find out more about him, go to his... I love looking at the pin poster wrestlers. I don't know them.
Looked up his...
They have some useful information that you can find out about them straight away. So on his pin post from February 28th, Through the Curtain, Episode 2, interview with Ethan Cross. If I remember correctly, it's about 45 minutes. So you can definitely find out more about him if you want to know a little bit more about Ethan Cross.
Oh, so you look up his Twitter account, but you don't look up if he was at a hoppy place?
I didn't think of that. I didn't remember that part. You were the one who remembered that he was tagging with John Washington. I'd forgotten that part.
I think that's what it... He looks... the same, and then the people were yelling that it was Uncle John Washington's grandpa.
Who you thought was the real George Washington, if I remember correctly.
No, I didn't.
All right, next promo
I said George, didn't I?
Next. Now, Mason's actually gone to bed. I'm editing this, and I just realized I probably interrupted him by introducing the next match before him giving a chance to actually say how this match actually finished. So one of the important things with this one was when the referee was distracted, Mr. DeVore came into the ring, got a chair, hit Ethan Cross with it, got out of the ring, and then at which point the referee came back and that allowed Tremor to actually pin Ethan Cross. Or certainly from my memory anyway. Like I said, I wasn't writing the matches down. That was down to Mason, but I think I probably could him off on that one. Promo was actually announced before Ethan had even left, which I thought was kind of bad. Now, WWE started doing that as well. Like, as the wrestlers are walking up the ramp, they'll start playing the music for the next person, and they'll kind of pass as they're going. I don't understand why they do that. I don't like that, and I definitely didn't like it for indies. I like the other person to be gone out of the way before the next person comes in. Even if it's just a little bit to, like, whew, or comment, hey, that was a great match, or I really liked it. You don't get a chance to talk about it when it goes straight from one to another.
When it goes, you're like, oh, are they out here to attack them? Because, like,
yeah,
the first time they did that, Samoa Joe was walking out, and then, like, No. So, like, somebody was walking out and the Samoa Joe comes out, and then you're like, he's gonna attack him. He did it to Randy Orton.
He did, yeah.
So, like, are you gonna attack him? Or are you not? And then they just stare at each other, and then they just walk past.
I don't like that at all. Anyway, it wasn't actually a match, it was actually a promo. So it was announced that the tag team champs, Cheap Thrills, were coming out, but actually only one person come out. So who came out then, Mason?
Jimmy Flair.
No, it was Jimmy Flame. So we had a few mishears on this one. So I thought it was Trevor, and it was Tremor. You thought it was Jimmy Flair, and it was actually Jimmy Flame. Because you actually asked me, what does Flair mean? I'm like, why are you asking me that? I didn't really know at the time. Now, I couldn't tell what his tag team partner, who wasn't there's name actually was. I think it said Matt Sales, but I couldn't be 100%
I thought it was
sure on that.
something Kane.
Well, if it did, I totally misheard it.
Or something Glass. It was either one of those.
Matt Sales sounds nothing like Glass or Kane, but anyway. Now, he offered to defend the title just by himself. And Mr. DeVore came out again and said, no, you can't do that. It's a liability. And he said, you must find a partner. So what did he do?
He went in the back. He got 15 minutes, and then there's another match during that.
And you missed the fun part of this.
Huh?
There was almost a recreation of Nicholas from the last WrestleMania at 34.
Oh, yeah.
He just went straight to the kid in the crowd and was like, hey, I want you. You're on my team. And Mr. DeVore was like, no, you can't do that. You basically what you just explained. So, yeah, he went to the back and he had 15 minutes to find himself a partner. Hey, match 3. Anthony Adams versus Jason Radatz. Now, Anthony Adams, we knew straight away, that was Anthony Atom. In fact, if you looked on his shirt, he had his Twitter feed, his Facebook link, Instagram, and all of them say Anthony Atom. So I'm not sure why he has to change his name to Anthony Adams for this one. Like, I know if you're on WWE and you wrestle somewhere else, you can't pick the same name.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if I told you this one. I know I told you about Enzo and Big Cass turning up at Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Did I tell you what their new name is?
No.
Big Cass can't be Big Cass anymore, obviously.
Big Kaz.
So he's Kaz XL. Because XL is large, right?
Extra
Big.
large, yeah.
So they changed. So I don't know. I don't know why Anthony Adams had to be... Anthony Atom had to be... Anyway.
What is the storyline on that?
No idea. Now, we recognised him because he dresses up at, like, the Spartan person. He has, like, the Roman helmet on and all that stuff. Now, he was clearly a heel. You could tell that straight away because he wasn't giving high fives. He pushed the cameraman out the way as well. Like, whoa. I was like, he's got to film. I was like, that's a very heel moment. I was like, he was just doing his job. I don't know. Like, if he put his hand up against the camera and pushed it away, you could see that was being, like, a heel moment. But I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny.
So, elbows to the face by Jason Radatz, those were really loud.
Yeah.
They were like...
Yeah. You said he reminded you of more of a classic wrestler, as in, like, the mat wrestling like you see at college or high school. What made you say that?
Because, like, he's really strong, but, like, he's not one of the... I don't know, he just looked like it.
Do you want to know how strong he is?
Yeah.
I got a tweet from him. I'll never understand how I can bench over 400 pounds, but can't open a bag of rice. I thought that was funny. Sometimes those are tricky when you're trying to, like, pull them apart. But yeah, he can bench 400 pounds, so yeah, he's a strong dude.
So
that's for sure.
what is benching?
When you lie down and then you're pushing upwards. Benching is when you lie. The thing you lie on is called, like, the bench.
Oh, and then, like...
It's got bench press.
So when Jordan Grace is announced, she's, like, benching something. And...
Yeah, that's what it is. There's different types. Like, you can do it
like,
standing up and then bending down. That's like squatting.
Oh, like it says benching and squatting. Because I watched something, and then, like, I don't know, it was on the network, and then it was just a promo for the Mark Henry thing. And then it was, you said something about that Vince McMahon let Mark Henry go to the strongest man in the world, but he would not sign him if he was second, because he can't have the second strongest man in the world.
I can believe that.
So, like, and then it showed him a picture of, like, standing and doing the standing up.
I think the difference is, when you're standing up, it's more leg work, because you can push from your legs. But when you're lying down, obviously you can't use your legs, so you got to use your chest and your arms. So I think there's the different types there. Now, I got one more thing about Jason Radatz. We saw him, actually, at Sink or Swim. He was actually fighting Benjamin Banks in that first match. And I couldn't remember his tag team partner. We talked to him at the intermission. He said it was Cisco. He was actually wrestling the night before as well. He said, on my way to North Carolina to defend my hashtag Southeastern Championship, hashtag FSPW Firestar Pro Wrestling. And I actually asked him, I was like, did he win? And he did. He retained his championship. Now, he actually is undefeated there, it said as well. That was the other reason why I asked him. And he hadn't posted anything. And no, he's unbeaten. It's actually based in Greensboro, North Carolina, which is where I used to live fairly close to. And yeah, he defended it against TDT, who I don't actually know. But I did see a clip on Facebook that looked kind of interesting. It looked like TDT took him out in the previous event meeting, so they obviously had a bit of a rivalry there. Okay, what else for this match?
So Jason tries to get what the heck? It says GBT. Something.
This is what you remember when I said make sure you read through your notes ahead of time so you know what everything means. Do you remember me saying that?
Yes.
And what did you do instead then?
No, like I read through my notes just see if it's neat.
So you could read the letters GBT and you're like, that's fine, I know what that means.
Now, but when one leg is through Adam's... he tries to get in the ropes, but when one leg is over the ropes, Anthony Adams kicks the rope to go in his dingo, and so that's how he wins.
Ah, okay. Now, actually, these two have actually faced before. I looked on Facebook. September 2018, it said Jason Radatz and Anthony Atom from Elite Pro Wrestling Alliance will be competing at the TV taped Monster Factory tonight. Good luck and travel safe. Monster Factory is one up in New Jersey, which I've been looking at. It looks like a really cool place. It looks like they have it's kind of an enclosed venue. Kind of looks like it's kind of a little bit tight on the sides there, so you're really close to the action. But I've heard a few things. People talk about that one as well. So perhaps during the summer, I'm trying to look to go a little further afield in the summer. Like 4 hours. We can do 4 hours. Easy. You can go up in the morning, have a look around, watch it. You guys can sleep on the way home, and I can just drive home.
What do you mean, you guys?
Well, if I bring Jackson. Actually, I don't know if that one's Jackson appropriate, but I'm sure we'll find some that are. Certainly Chikara is. Yeah. I don't mind travelling 3 hours with Jackson for that one. And then there was a promo. The next promo was from Natalina Corvino, and it was announced that she was going to be in the main event for the Women's Championship. Avery Rose was the current champion, who we'd seen at Nova Pro twice, and also Gemma Cross, who we've seen at Nova Pro, and also Fury Pro as well.
So, just Natalie Corvino just comes out and says that she's going to win the match.
She guaranteed it.
Yeah, she guaranteed it, and she said, these are big words from a little person. Because she wasn't she wasn't the tallest of women.
No, she wasn't. She also said that they'd better have health insurance because they were definitely going to the hospital as well. She was talking a little bit of trash there. She also said at the start that she'd driven 5 hours to get to here. And she complained that she didn't get her own personal parking space. Now, I kind of agreed with her on that. She said parking's really difficult. Yeah. I don't know if she came up with that off the top of her head, but I got to agree with her. It was really difficult. And anyway, they directed her to somebody else. He said, you need to talk to this person.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't find this until later, unfortunately. This is also a tweet from from UCW. Join us tonight on UCW Radio at BeyondRingside.com as we welcome Diemos, DeJuan O'Neill, and Natalina Corvino to talk about all things WrestleFest. I didn't know that they had their own radio show. That would have been kind of interesting to listen to. So that was a few days before the event. We might have found out like a few more backstories and things like that. I've literally found this out probably about 30 minutes before we were set to record, so I didn't listen to it. But I'm going to try and listen to it later. It's one I can't download, I don't think. I think you just got to stream it. Because I like to download and then listen to my iPod when I don't have Wi-Fi access later or when I'm in the car or something like that. So this was about 1 hour in after they cut this promo, and then they announced there was going to be a 15-minute intermission with no concession stand. I went back to and no vending machines working, as we'd already talked about. I went back to the car because I knew I had a drink there. We came back, we talked to Benjamin. He got some pinky rings now as well. Jackson got some glasses last time that light up like they look when they walk in. And we got the little pinky rings that kind of glow. They're bright. They were like mini flashlights. I thought they were kind of cool. And Benjamin's picture is 8x10. Now, you got his autograph multiple times on jerseys. Yeah. We've never had I didn't even think about I don't think I've ever seen
he had those for...
Yeah, I don't remember seeing them.
Because, I don't think he takes everything to each event, because I've never seen one of his glasses before.
He took those to Infinite Pro, but even now, he was carrying like a suitcase and like another bag when we saw him walk in, so they have to carry a lot of stuff. So we got that one. We then went along the line, we talked to Jason, and we got 3 pictures from Jason. We got like the traditional wrestler one, we got like a caricature one, And then there's one, like, it's like a haunted house type scene, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got one, I got one, Jackson got one. And we got a picture with him as well, because we didn't do that. Porkchop Johnson was already gone, unfortunately, because that was one we were trying to get. But anyway, we did go across to DeJuan O'Neill. And we said, hey, I saw you at Capital Wrestling. I should have got a picture right then. But I was like, you weren't with me. So we'll take one now. And he's like, I'm sold out. I was like, oh. I'm actually, although I sound initially disappointed when I hear that, I'm actually really happy. If they're selling merch and they're sold out merch, great. That's great for them. That means that they're obviously making a little bit more money, which is good. And he's a great wrestler. He's really muscular. You can tell he doesn't skip arm day.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Remember the person I was talking about? I don't know if it's been released yet, but when I sort of got him mixed up with Isaiah Frazier, that was DeJuan O'Neill.
Oh, that's what you were talking. And when you mentioned that, I couldn't remember exactly who you were talking about at that point. That will be the one that comes out, well, a week before this comes out. That's the Nova Pro one.
Okay.
So now I know exactly which one you were talking about. And also, they had a mascot there as well. We're like, hey, mascot, I don't know what your name is, but can we get a picture with you?
I think it was Freddie or something.
It was. I wrote it down. We asked, and then somebody asked the mascot, and then word came back that his name was Freddie. So, yeah, Jackson obviously liked that. He loves mascots. I didn't know there was going to be a mascot there.
Yeah.
But what size shirt he was wearing? I saw he was wearing a UCW shirt, and I was like, is that like a regular shirt?
XXX large.
I don't know. It was pretty big. It must have been. Alright, we came back, and it was match 4, and they announced they were going to do a battle royale, and they said it was going to be with basically everybody who was on the roster. That might have been a slight exaggeration.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was, as far as I could tell, it was everyone
Benjamin Banks was in there.
No, we asked Benjamin, I was like, are you in the Battle Royale or are you in the tag team? He said both, and then he didn't come out. So the people who I have written down, and I think I missed some though, Anthony Adams,
Yeah.
Tremor,
Yeah.
Jason Radatz,
Yeah.
Ethan Cross,
Yeah.
Hooker, Vic
Yeah.
Ramon, basically everyone who appeared before the break. Now I think that's fine. I think if you want to keep costs down and getting wrestlers to do 2 matches, why not? I was happy to see a Battle Royale. I think they're great fun. Jackson loved watching those. I have no problems with that. But yeah, there were certainly other people that weren't in that. Now, I can understand if you're in the title match, you're not going to be in that one.
There was this one dude
But that's only 6 people. I swore there was more than 6 people.
There was this one guy who didn't have a match, and we never found out his name.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I wonder if that's the person who we found at the end. So I asked right at the end. There was the manager of Natalina Corvino, and I couldn't find out what his name was. So I actually asked the UCW Twitter feed. I was like, "Hey, can you tell me who it is?"
Daven or
and it
something.
says Daven is Disaster. Now at Daven is Disaster. Sorry, and it just goes his name by Daven.
Oh, Daven.
And it says, I would like to thank everyone who made it out to WrestleFest. It was awesome to make my debut and wrestle in my hometown. That is cool. Though we didn't take the win, we made our mark in UCW. You definitely haven't seen the last of us. Now, that makes me think that he's talking about him and Corvina. So it might be that he was in that match then. Because he didn't get to wrestle, obviously, in the women's match. So that must have been the missing person who we couldn't figure out. Because we started, we haven't seen this person. And we just couldn't figure it out. So I think that was Daven anyway. And it's not, as you kept saying earlier, it's not Diemos, because that was somebody totally different. That was a different match. That was the one who DeJuan actually had to face. All right, what you got for this match then? Because we already talked about all the contestants in it earlier.
So what happened was, I think it was that manager, he got eliminated, but then the refs didn't see it, so he just came back in.
Mm-hmm.
And then
there was only 3 people left at this time.
I basically had to finish.
Okay, well, it was supposed to be down. There was only 3 people at that time, so it was supposed to be down to the last 2.
Yeah.
He got back in, and he actually finished second in the end.
Yeah.
So go ahead, you can give us a finish.
So basically, Hooker, he just clotheslines him over.
Mm-hmm. And Hooker got 2 wins in the night.
Yeah.
He won his singles match, and he also won the Battle Royal. So yeah, he had a pretty good match.
And when Tremor got eliminated, he was giving high fives. So I got a high five from him, and he said, "Ugh, I gotta go back to jail now."
Yeah, I thought they said hospital earlier in the thing, but I'm not sure. I might have misremembered that one as well. Okay, match 5. The main reason we were here. The Golden Pinky Society, which is Benjamin Banks and Diamond Victor Griff, versus Jimmy Flame. And he came out by himself to begin with, but eventually he was with Porkchop Johnson.
Yeah. So Benjamin was heels this time. He was a heel this time.
Yeah.
And so Benjamin, he starts running, trying to do Jimmy Flair, and he runs into Griff twice on accident.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got
and
squashed.
Porkchop lifts up Benjamin, and Benjamin dives, misses, and then Porkchop dives and wins.
I got a few things. When Pork Chop Johnson came in, he was pretty fired up. He was going 100%, and there was one moment when he dragged the top rope down, and Benjamin went flying to the outside. Also, I got Pork Chop Johnson climbs up to the top and he's hitting Diamond Victor Griff on the head, like 1, 2, 3. And at the count of 7, he steps out of the way, and that was one of the times that Benjamin actually ran into Victor Griff for sure. There was a flying shoulder from Pork Chop as well, which took down Benjamin. Slam to Benjamin. Benjamin took a lot of punishment in this match as well. I only wrote down that side of it. The Golden Pinky Society actually had a lot of offense. But I was just kind of watching it at that point and cheering. And I actually cheered because they were obviously cheering for the other team. And I don't know what they were saying, if they were saying Jimmy Flame or whatever, but I was going, Benjamin, thanks. But I was definitely cheering for the other side as well. There was a lot of 2-on-1 battles where one person would be out the ring. They obviously weren't following the normal rules, that was for sure. They were quite happy to have 2-on-1 battles. And I think you already gave the finish, right?
Yeah.
How did they win by?
Dive.
He won by a dive, not a pinfall or a submission or anything like that?
Yeah,
he just
pinfall,
dived?
Pinfall.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough. Now, Jimmy Flame and... Oh, sorry. Hashtag Jimmy Flame and at Atomic Dog 98, the new at UCW Forever Tag Team Champions. Now we just need a name. Now, you wanted something with flair in it, so you got to rethink this. So now you know that it's Jimmy Flame. Any initial thoughts?
Flamed pork chop.
I'm going to go with Flame Grilled. Because that's the style of cooking. And it certainly links in with that pork chop thing as well.
It's like off the top of my head. I probably could do better.
And mine was too. But I'm going to go with Flame Grilled. It's kind of tough. Yeah, you've kind of got to get pork chop in there somewhere, and it kind of makes sense with that. Or something to do with barbecue, perhaps. I don't know. But we got our initial ideas. We still got a little bit of time to submit that one as well.
Flamely grilled.
And there was one other one you were trying to think of as well. Eel O'Neill and Mr. Jones you've been working on for like 36 hours now.
Something about Eel O'Neill.
Okay.
Like the eel turn or something.
Uh-huh.
There's something eels.
Mm-hmm. Have you got a name for their tag team yet?
No. I don't know.
Yeah.
I need like a nickname for Mr. Jones.
I don't know anything about Mr. Jones, so that might be tough. We might have to watch perhaps that match, see if we can find out something about him. Give us some more insight on that one.
Adam Jones.
I don't know. Alright, match 6. This was Diemos versus DeJuan O'Neill.
Pac-Man.
And I got at Deimos419. Now, his last tweet was, yeah, buddy, think twice before you try to hip toss Deimos. Hashtag won't stop, hashtag reckoning, hashtag reality. And he was strong. Yeah. He was a big guy. He was stronger than DeJuan O'Neill. He was certainly bigger in size. Clearly a heel character. You could tell that. Now, we talked about on, I think it was Fury Pro, how we'd found a contender who tweeted less frequently than Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
I think it was, it's a guy from Riot City. I can't remember what his name is, though. Sickened, thank you. I think we found a new winner. I think this one was going to take a lot of time to get beaten. So, how many tweets do you think for the last year, then, from Deimos419? I think Sickened had 6 in, 18 months, but there was, 5. No, too many, actually. So, how many in the last 2 years?
0.
Oh, you're doing good. Last 3 years?
0.
His last tweet is September 13th, 2014. It's 4.5 years ago since he last tweeted anything.
He's an Instagram person, probably.
It did actually say on that tweet that I read out, it was .instagram.com, blah, 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 because it was a picture, so you can, post your pictures from one to another. He does post on Facebook, I noticed, but I don't like, for some reason, I use Facebook, but I don't like it for wrestlers. I don't know why. I guess it's just a personal thing. I prefer that. I did find out, though, from ProWrestlingFandom.com, he was actually part of a stable. Now, I hadn't heard of the stable. I'm going to ask if you've heard of it. The MSL Universe.
No, I've heard of a barn stable.
Okay. Well, a stable is something like a group of wrestlers all together, like the NWO used to be, or Undisputed Era. Yeah. Something like that. So some of the people, I'm going to read some of the people in the group, and I'm going to save the more famous one for the last one, though. Mr. looks like Saint Laurent, like Yves Saint Laurent. Chasen Rance, Martin Stone, Michael Tarver, Josh Hess, and Teddy Hart.
Oh, yeah.
Teddy Hart. who I actually got to meet at WrestleMania
Is
weekend
his cat
at GCW.
Mr. Whiskers or Mr. Velvet?
They said Mr. Velvet at the GCW event, but unless he has a wrestling name, perhaps he goes by two names. Perhaps he's Anthony Adams at one place and then Anthony Atom at another place. I don't know. Some of his matches then. Basically, they didn't have that many matches together. It looked like they were together for like a year, perhaps. These are all from 2015. They faced the Hooligans.
Oh.
I know you've heard of them.
Okay.
It was a FIP, Declaration of Independence 2015, a pay-per-view from Florida. And also, they were in the Proving Ground Challenge against the Viking War Party. Alright, you should know the Viking War Party, Mason, so go on, tell us who that is. Shall I tell you some of the members of the Viking War Party, then?
Yeah.
Alexander Rudolph? Is that helping you? No. Frank Wyatt? Is that helping you?
No.
Alright, shall I give you the last member then?
Yeah.
Jake Parnell.
Yeah.
Warhorse.
Yeah.
War Party.
Wait, isn't who's the first name?
Alexander Rudolph.
Isn't he like a football player?
There is a football player's last name's Rudolph, but I'm going to guess it's not him.
Oh no, that's Mason Rudolph.
You think you'd remember someone who has your first name? Brilliant. I love it. Alright, Mason, what you got for this match then? That's perfect timing to pass over to you. I can give you a moment if you need a little second to compose. Alright, Diemos puts on one's cap. He takes it off his head, puts it on his, and then he throws it back down the entranceway a long way. A kid reaches through the bars, grabs the hat, puts it on his head, and then just starts walking around with it. I'm like, oh my god, he's going to want that hat back at the end. Then he tries to go behind the scenes as far as we could tell as well, and then he just came back out again. And we were talking quite negatively about him. He went straight up. As soon as the match had finished, he went straight to the side, gave him the cap, and gave it to him back. I honestly thought he was going to run off with it. It didn't look like he was holding it for him, but yeah, he reached through. You could have just left it there, and he would have found it as he came back out. All right, what you got for this match?
So, huge right hand by O'Neal, and Daven throws into...
Diemos?
Yeah, Diemos, he throws O'Neal into the barricade, and Diemos wins.
Now, can I give you a moment about that as well? Oh, it sounds like you've done anyway. I'm at least going to hope you tell us whether it's a submission or a count-out or something like that. Jackson called over, and he wanted him to come back and give one more chop because he thought that was great. I think he liked it. On the rail, you could hear the noise. Jackson loves his heels.
Yeah.
Even though he got his picture with DeJuan earlier, he still wanted a few more chops.
I know it would be very painful, but I wish O'Neal, DeJuan, he would move so Diemos, he would chop the barricade.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
That would hurt.
So how did he win? You just gonna guess?
I know what it was, I just don't know the move. It was
If only you had a notebook where you could write this stuff down, right?
I can't
so you
remember
don't forget.
what it's called. Oh, a pinfall.
Match 7, Natalina. You're amazing. Match 7, Natalina Corvino versus Gemma Cross. This is like talking to Jackson on 205 Live. He literally watches the match and he's so what happened? And he's like, oh, he wins. I'm like, how? I don't know. 1, 2, 3. It's like, okay, pinfall. Alright, sorry. Match 7, Natalina Corvino versus Gemma Cross versus the current champion, Avery Rose. Now, Natalina, I did notice, had a Nothing is Trivial tattoo. And her t-shirt said husband beater on it.
Yeah.
That's a really weird word. The shirts, the sleeveless shirts are called wife beaters. We don't use that word in England. We just say a vest. I was like, a wife beater? Like, you beat your wife? I was like, what a weird name for that. So I thought that was clever that she wore it and it was called a husband beater. Now, I'm not going to do this, but if Matt wants an idea for a 21st podcast, I think this would be kind of a cool idea. I'm sure it'd be interesting to find out the nature of tattoos that wrestlers have. A lot of wrestlers have tattoos. Yeah. I'm sure there's a story behind them. I'm sure that would be a good way to find out about the personal... Well, personal life sounds wrong. More about the individual, the person behind a wrestler. I thought that would be really cool. I'm sure there's a story to that, and I'm sure there's a story to quite a few of the tattoos. Yeah. We've talked about it a few times on podcasts, but I'm not doing it. But
have you seen the tattoos on the back of Seth Rollins?
No, I haven't. Or if I have, I'm not paying...
Japanese or Korean or Chinese or something like that.
Okay.
And then I wonder what it means.
I don't know. I don't know if you realize this, and probably don't, because you don't really have access to the internet right now. A lot of people get them, and they think it says something like peace or hope and that, and then they find out it just says like chicken or something. Because they obviously don't know. You could put anything there. You're not going to know what it says, right? So people from China have then seen them and go, well, that's not what it means at all. It means something totally different. So you got to be very careful. So if you're thinking of getting a tattoo, don't get anything like that. Make sure you know exactly what it says.
Make it English.
Now, the other thing I have for the entrance for this one is, as Avery comes in as well, and you're like, are you going to go over? I was like, you can go over. I don't think she's going to give you a high five. She was. She was a face for this one. We've seen her more as a heel at
Gemma
Nova Pro.
Cross was a face.
So, and Gemma Cross has normally been a heel as well, and she was given high fives too. All right, go ahead.
I wrote Carmella.
For who?
Corella.
There wasn't anyone called Corella.
Madelia?
For Corvino?
Yeah.
You wrote Carmella. Nice. You took the fewest amount of notes I've ever seen for this, because as we started, I was like, is that all you had?
I did.
I know there was only 7 matches. Yeah, you got 2 tiny pieces of note paper for 7 matches and promos and intros. That's a lot less than you normally
write down the Battle Royal.
Okay, you normally write down a lot, so I was kind of surprised. I wasn't really paying attention, because I was sort of doing my own thing, and I was keeping an eye on Jackson as well, but I was taking pictures as well. Yeah. I guess that was my other thing. I was trying to make sure I documented it that way as well. So do you actually have anything for this match besides Carmella? Did she win the Battle Royal?
Huh?
Yeah, you haven't seen that. Carmella won the Battle Royal at WrestleMania.
Yeah, you told me. You messaged me. And she caught Rose during a dive, then suplexes her, then Gemma dives on both of them. And I have the finish.
Okay, I got a few things before this. So right at the start, they decided to go 2-on-1. They both ganged up on Natalina. They kicked her out of the ring, and Gemma Cross was like, "Get out of here," which I thought was kind of funny. The manager at the side was fanning Natalina Corvino, and that was the person who we talked about earlier. I got Avery jumps to the outside, but is caught by Natalina, and then slammed into a ring post, and that's all I had, because I just wrote a few things.
And Gemma Cross wins.
She did. I don't remember how she won.
From pinfall.
It's always a good guess, isn't it? It wasn't a submission, I know that.
No,
and I don't think it was a count-out, because you can't get a count-out in a triple threat match anyway, so I guess it must have been a pinfall. But yeah, no, it was cool to see. I honestly thought Avery would retain, to be honest. And it was nice to see. It was nice to see Gemma Cross win. We've seen her a few times, and held up the belt, went round to all the different corners, held up the belt.
Oh yeah, one thing from the overall, Jackson got missed high fives all the time because he put it over the top.
He kept putting his hand over the top, and he can't reach it.
Because he put it over, and so all he had was his hand out there. So so I told him to put it under the bar and reach out, and
If you put it under, your hand will be on the floor.
Yeah, so, he did it during Gemma, and then that was the only, time he got the high five.
He got one where he said it was fingers. I remember asking him, he was fingertips. Jason. Yeah, I was like, he got it. He often got them on the way back, but if he missed the high five, he got so mad. He had a 5-year-old temper tantrum.
The only time he took my advice, he got it.
Alright, perhaps he'll learn from that. And we re-emphasised that with him today, that he needs to do that. But no, the wrestlers were cool. They did. And if they didn't give high fives on the way there, they certainly did on the way back as well. And I thoroughly enjoyed the event. They actually asked on Twitter, what did we think of the event? UCW Forever tweeted, "Thank you, Annandale, for a wonderful night. Hope you all enjoyed it." I thought it was great. I thought it was good value for money. So they asked what we thought of it. I thought it was great. I said to the Nova Pro people, I said I knew it wasn't going to be the same caliber of wrestlers in terms of experience and things like that. But I was fine with that. I was looking for family entertainment, and for me, it checked all the boxes. You got high fives from people. The merch was very reasonably priced. Because you never know with photographs. Sometimes it can be 10's probably kind of typical. 5 if you get a good place. 20 if you pay a little bit more. And we did good. We were quite happy with it. Would have been nice to have some concessions, I think. But I think perhaps with them, I think as you said though, you can't bring in outside food.
Yeah,
that might have been the problem.
It said without permission.
Correct. So that might have been one of the technical problems they had with that.
During the event, I felt like some nachos.
Yeah. But it was perfect in terms of time. You asked how long it was going to be, and I said, I bet it's a tight 2 hours. and it was like 2 hours and 15 minutes. Perfect for Jackson. He didn't lose time. He didn't lose.
So it's basically 2 hours because there's a 15-minute intermission.
There you go. It worked perfectly. We were out by about 8:15, 8:30. I think we talked to Benjamin again one more time. We tried to see if we could get Pork Chop but he was talking to people, so we didn't do that. And we went to. You guys were hungry at that point because we had like an early dinner, so we stopped off at Wendy's on the way back. But we still got back home by 9:15 or something.
He said he was very hungry. He ate a half a burger and a chicken nugget.
He did, and he fell asleep. He was exhausted. You said he was yawning, so I guess he was.
Yeah.
So anything later than that probably would have been a problem. But all the people who I saw there with the families, they all seemed to enjoy it. They all got totally involved in it. They got the high fives. I thought it was thoroughly entertaining.
Yeah.
I loved it. We had a few more wrestlers that we knew than perhaps the average person would have done. Like, we knew Benjamin and Griff. We knew Avery Rose. We knew Gemma Cross. We knew DeJuan O'Neill. I knew Jason Radatz. There was like several people who I don't even mind if I don't know the people. Because and also we knew Demented Brad as well.
Yeah.
I don't mind seeing new wrestlers, but it's always cool when you know some people
Pork Chop
too.
Johnson.
Oh, Pork Chop Johnson. So we knew at least 7 people there straight away. But at some point, the first time you ever seen them. Vic Ramon as well. But sometimes, though, it's like, it's not that long ago that Avery Rose would have been new to us. Yeah. Or Gemma Cross. If you go back a year, we probably only would have known Benjamin and Jason Radatz, possibly. Yeah. So I don't mind meeting new people. I think it expands your knowledge a little bit as well.
And there was nice name calling too. They were calling people babies.
The kid. It was very. It was PG friendly. Yeah, it was very Chikarish. I thought it was good. Unfortunately, it sounds like I don't know when they're coming back to Annandale. They did say they have an event at Lake Anna. I think he said June 21st, 22nd. Yeah. And we have plans to go down to North Carolina for June 20th. So actually, it would be on the way back. I don't know if you know where Lake Anna is. No. It's probably just north of Richmond, but it says you're coming back up 95. You sort of come back up 95, halfway probably between Richmond and Woodbridge, I would guess. Okay. And then you just sort of go off to the side there. So it would possibly be on the way back for us. So we'll check that out. I think that's something that would be fun to do as well. And I think that wraps it up for us, right? Uh-huh. All right, it's Thursday. This comes out Friday. I'm throwing you under the bus, Mason. You've had like 9 days to record this, and you haven't got around to doing it, so I guess it's just me. All right, we did this in 3 segments. We did the main podcast. We got our interview at the end, which we did a couple of days later, and then there was supposed to be this last segment, which was supposed to be this bridge segment. So, a couple of things. Mason noticed that there is actually a show already about people's tattoos. Apparently Corey Graves does it, so I obviously, I don't know if perhaps I picked it up from that and it subconsciously stuck with me. So, never mind. That's no good anymore. We also forgot, and Mason did try to remind me, that actually, as we left, we did actually get to talk to one more wrestler as well. As we were on the Bouncy Castle area, as we talked about earlier, Jackson noticed there were some wrestlers there getting pictures, so we actually went across and got a picture with Avery Rose. We also had a little chat with her about Nova Pro. She'd been there for a couple of times, so she was really cool. We got to find out some interesting things, and we totally forgot to mention that part before. So, coming up, this is the interview that we had with Daven Estacado, who was the manager for Natalina Corvino, and Daven also featured in the Royal Rumble match. The Battle Royal match, and we'll talk about that as part of his interview as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of
the MGB Wrestling Podcast. All right, guys, then we got Daven Estacado. Please tell me I got it right.
You got it right.
Ooh, I got it right. We saw Daven in the last match at UCW. All right, he was a manager for the last match for
the UCW women's title.
I put the microphone in front of him because I wanted him to see it. Natalina Corvino. We had a little discussion off air about how difficult it was to pronounce, so I did one, so I thought I'd let you try one, Mason. All right, well, first of all, thank you for giving us your time, Daven. We really appreciated it. The reason why we contacted you was we saw on your Facebook feed. Well, first of all, we weren't sure the name of the manager, so we found out who that was. And then when we got to your Facebook feed, we found out a couple of things that we thought were really interesting and kind of unique, and we thought it was a perfect opportunity to get a little interview in. One, that it was your debut event, but also it was in your hometown as well. So the fact that it was in Annandale and it was a local thing, we thought that made it even more special for us. So, all right, Mason, you want to start off with, you're going to do some general questions, and then I'm going to do some specific questions to do with UCW, right?
How long have you been watching wrestling?
For a long time, since I was a little kid, honestly. I grew up in the weird transition, like late 80s, early 90s. Kind of on and off.
Everyone I talk to, on and off.
It is. It's always on and off because, like, I always religiously watched it. Like, they had the main event, and then you had, like, on the weekends, you had you had, like, the Saturday stuff on the mornings and at night. Like, and then you had the Monday Night War. So, yeah, I was watching for quite some time. And then, like, after late 2000s, I kind of stopped watching, and I came back into it. So, I want to say since I was, like, probably 6 or 7.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And I got grief today on that. I was talking to a friend, and he said, "You don't know that? It's like, that's from 2009. I'm like, I didn't watch it in 2009. That was one of my gap periods. I had like a 5-year period when I just got out of it, and then suddenly you get back into it again.
Describe your character.
Kind of a guy for hire. Like, if there's a gig, I get the job done. So if you need a manager, you need an announcer, you need a commentator, I'm your guy. And I give you top quality product.
Good answer. Okay, keep going, Mason.
Was there ever a time in your life training to be a wrestler you thought you couldn't do it?
When I first started, like, I'm still training technically. I've only been in the business for about going on almost 2 years, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning every day, every time there's a show. It was when I first started, it was like a really bad place in my life. Like, wrestling really kind of helped me turn around. I got lucky, and I got helped out by my roommates who are also indie wrestlers, who helped me out. They started taking me to shows, kind of helped me build my confidence. But at the same time, it's kind of like, I can't do this. I was out of shape. Really, starting to go back into working out. And, at the very beginning, it's just like, I can't do this. But then slowly and surely, with the help of the other wrestlers and, a couple of mentors and stuff, they really pushed me. And, like, if that person can do it, that person, you can do it. There's that weird fear factor of kind of like relearning how to do things and kind of retraining your body. That was like the hurdle. I'm still trying to push myself now.
I've heard the hardest thing is initially just taking that first bump, when it's just throw yourself to the ground.
Yeah. I had to learn really quick and the hard way, because I didn't do it in a ring. I actually ended up going to, like, my first couple bumps were actually at a training center for stunt doubles. Shout out to the DC Stunt Coalition. Actually, I learned a couple of bump stuff there, and it wasn't too bad. I'm not gonna lie, it was scary. Like, I can't do this until, like, I kind of had to learn by literally falling and getting, my legs kicked out, and yeah, it was hard.
Yeah, it goes against everything that's natural. You just want to, if you fall, you put your hands down, you stop yourself. To fall backwards like that, it's totally unnatural experience. All right, Mason, what's your next question?
Who would be your dream opponent and why?
Oh, wow.
Bringing out the big questions.
He's bringing the big guns. That's a good question, but there's a bunch of indie guys I would like to, step in the ring in with, because, like, I admire their work. I admire what they do in there. It's kind of like, I want to be like them. Wow. I guess my old school way of think, kind of school guys, if I were kind of dream match, I would love to wrestle Bret Hart in his prime.
Good choice. Can't argue with that. What about some of the indie people that you admire then? Some of those people you said that you admired, who would they be?
Oh, man, there's a lot of guys. Of course. I could go through my Facebook page and just start naming people. Like, there's so many dudes that I've learned from, that I've, like, picked
All right,
up
can
on.
I phrase it a different way then? Give me some names of people who we might not have heard of. Like, we've obviously heard of people like Orange Cassidy, because they're, like, sort of right at that top. Give us some names perhaps further down the list who we might not have heard, who we should go and check out.
William Huckabee, the first one coming to mind. Powerhouse, wealth of knowledge and experience on him. There's a guy a friend of mine, Carnage, kind of owe him a couple paybacks for a couple of shots. So I'd love to kind of get my piece back in there. Let's see. A couple of local guys. Chaos Connection, because like the first real tag team I kind of saw here in my local area. Man, the Ducks. You ever haven't seen the Ducks? Those guys are nuts, and kind of the high energy that they bring into their matches is pretty dope.
You talking about the Ugly Ducklings?
Oh yeah, the Ugly Ducklings. Yeah.
We had jerseys last year made for us, personalized ones for Nova Pro. The Anaheim Ducks, and we had on the back, one of us had Nova Pro, and the other one had wrestling. I had number 20, he had 18 on the back, so basically when we sat next to each other, it said Nova Pro Wrestling 2018, and that was the first thing we got. We got the Ducks to sign those jerseys. Within one match, we saw them, and we were like, that's our team. That's our tag team. They're amazing. Yeah, they're absolutely great. Yeah.
Crazy guys, cool guys to work with.
All right, was that your last question, Mason? All right, let's move on to the specific ones then. So let's talk about UCW. So you're actually involved in 2 matches. Actually, quite a few people had double duty on this one. They had like a match, and then they had the Battle Royal. So you first featured as a wrestler then. So give us some of the background on that. Because I know Mason always likes some of the planning for this. How do you plan something like a Battle Royal? It just seems like utter craziness from the outside.
That's pretty much what it is. It's just utter craziness. There's really no planning for Battle Royale. It's more like kind of like I'm going to pick that guy. If there's like a bigger guy, I'm like, the only tactic that you can have is kind of try to rally people up to go up against the bigger guy. Besides that, it's every man for themselves. I got lucky.
And if I remember correct, you made it to the last 2, right? So I think the last 2 was you, and I think it was Hooker.
Did not go according as planned. I was trying to psych him out and trying to kind of use some sneaky tactics, and did not go the way I planned. Completely backfired.
And he had a good day. I think he won his singles match, and then he won the Battle Royal as well. So yeah, he had a good night for sure. And then
he was on a roll. I give him that. Like I said, I thought I could take advantage of the fact that he was kind of tired out and made it the last. And it didn't go the way that I planned. So.
Now, we originally were supposed to contact Natalina as well, and we said off air, that's totally on me. I'd heard about a new wrestling organization, and I was so over the top about that I just totally forgot about it. And then the next day, and then we're like, oh, we were supposed to call Natalina. So now we knew the other 2 people in the match, actually. We knew Gemma Cross from Fury Pro and Nova Pro. And we'd seen Avery Rose at a couple of Nova Pro events recently, actually, this year. Now, the only person we didn't know was Natalina. So can you give us a little background on Natalina?
She's a crazy powerhouse. She's short, but, what they say, big things come in small packages. And she comes with a lot of power. Very intimidating, and she everywhere she goes, she gets the attention, and I don't mean that in a negative way, like she's trying to be the center of attention. No, you notice her.
Well, that was one of the things we liked about UCW is that they had like promos in between. Like Nova Pro just tends to pretty much go match to match to match, and that's it. There was definitely being a story being told, and Natalina came out. I can't remember if it was before or after the intermission, but she came out and basically said who she was, and she said what she was going to do, guaranteed that she was going to get a win. A little bit of heel. We knew heel character straight away because she complained about the parking at UCW, which is spot on. I assume that was improvised right at the start, but yeah, parking was awful at that place. And they said they were going to need health insurance. She was going to put them in hospital, and no, she certainly got the attention of people, that's for sure.
It was before the intermission.
Oh, it was before the intermission.
It was the thing. As soon as that finished, the intermission came.
So why don't you tell us then about... We know that actually, because we just reviewed it, because it was the last match, we know that Gemma Cross became the new champion. How about you tell us from your perspective what actually happened in the match, particularly from the manager's point of view, I guess, because you're up in a different role for this match.
Like I said, different promotion, different atmosphere. As a manager, I don't think it was a fair shot. I wanted something to showcase, what Natalina can do. So I just kind of feel like the current champ for now, took advantage of the situation and knew that, she kind of used it to her advantage. But on a one-on-one, I think the circumstances would be totally different.
And that was one thing we noticed right at the start. It was obvious that there was some ganging up because Gemma and Avery straight away just went straight for Natalina, kicked her out the ring, and then it did become, like you said, a one-on-one match. So yeah, they were certainly using the numbers game to their advantage for this one.
Yes, very much so. Like I said, not really ideal, but you know what? Only big thing I do feel happy about the situation. Well, we left our mark.
Absolutely. You can definitely say that. And I think all 3 women did. And I thought it was a really good main event. It definitely was a good way to finish off the event. And it was exciting all along.
And nobody had to go to the hospital.
Nobody, and not as far as we know, anyway. Yeah, not as far as we know.
No.
That's always a good thing as well. Now, Daven, I know you have your own podcast because I actually listened to it on, I think it was Monday night. So certainly go ahead and plug that for us so we can get that into the podcast for you.
Do a podcast on Blog Talk Radio. It's kind of a collab between me and Brenda Facemeyer, who she has numerous different shows throughout the week. She mostly talks sports and football. And if you're a Redskins fan, she's a whole Redskins head as well. So everything from football to baseball, she does throughout the week. And then she gives us some airtime with us and some other shows. We can talk about other stuff. So on Sunday, we do a show called Gamers and Geeks Unite, where we talk everything from comic books to video games to pop culture. As you listened this past weekend, we actually had one of my wrestling friends, Victor Andrews, come on the show, Mr. Everything. And we talked about, his favorite action movies and horror movies, and then plugged his events. So it's kind of like our platform for anything and everything geeky. So it could be everything from tabletop games, Dungeons and Dragons, to video games, fighting games, pop figures, movies, whatever entails that geek community, we like to talk about.
And we talked about that as well beforehand. There's definitely a big crossover between wrestling and all those things for sure. Now, I guess the next question is then, when can we see you next? And where are you? Is there any upcoming dates at all?
We have NRL on the 20th. The weekend after that, I'm actually going to be back in DC for AwesomeCon. Actually going to be doing some convention trying to get some interviews with a couple of celebrities and stuff for Gamers and Geeks United and our collaboration with NRW, New Release Wednesdays on YouTube. So I'm going to be that weekend, be convention. Then May 11th, we're going to be in Danger Zone in Kenley, North Carolina.
Okay.
And then back to NRL May 18th. And that will be, don't have a location, but we're going to be with NRL on the 18th.
Okay, and I remember some people, I think, is AwesomeCon a yearly event? I seem to remember people talking about some event like that in DC last year as well.
Every year, yes, it's a yearly convention. And then, again, plugging in Victor Andrews' show on May 25th in Hope County. So I could definitely come out to that because that's for a good cause. That goes to the Lupus Foundation.
And that was the one that I was listening to. I saw specifically that you were promoting that one, and that was kind of the one that I was focusing more on with it being the wrestling side of it. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Any final questions, Mason?
Do you think you could beat Natalina Corvino in a match?
No. Again, there seems to be rumors going around for a roommate match eventually down the road. Because, living with someone and being, around them for a while, tensions seem to rise after a while. I've actually wrestled her before. Not as myself, but I'm not gonna lie, she's a tough cookie.
Oh, absolutely.
I did not come out on top on that one.
That was a great question to finish with, buddy. All right, Daven, I think that'll do it for us. Thank you. I would say thank you so much for giving us your time. It's just added that extra little dimension. I would say there was a few people we didn't know with this being certainly new to this area. Certainly adds a little bit more just to know add that personal touch and get to know some of the people a little bit better.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Especially to see more East Coast wise, and then it was surprising for me because when I moved down here to Danville, I didn't realize that I was living literally in the mecca of wrestling because I'm literally in the middle of all these schools. Boogie Woogie Man School is near me. I have Firestar Pro. I have ARW and UC, a couple other W's in different promotions that kind of pop up here and there. And even my new home promotion with, Strong Style Pro and with Firestar. It's just so many places I can go and learn and kind of pick up, different experiences with different people. It's so awesome.
Oh, absolutely. I would say we basically, that's our collecting thing. We don't collect comic books or anything like that, but we collect different organizations. We love to go and see how the different setups are, different wrestling styles, all those sorts of things. And yeah, we get more from that as well, just looking at different arenas as well. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, we also collect 8x10s.
I guess we do. I forgot about that.
A whole binder of them.
Yeah, we started off, we actually we just talked about Benjamin Banks being a sort of a common acquaintance. And yeah, we've known Benjamin for over a year, and we haven't actually got an 8x10 from him. That was the first time we've ever seen him selling them at UCW. He's autographed your jersey every single year, but yeah, we didn't notice them until then. So yes, you're right. I forgot about that collection.
It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
music was Zigzag by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0, http://creativecommons.org/licenses/by/3.0/.
You are listening to Visionaries Wrestling Network.